Hello team, we're about to dive into our new interdisciplinary unit on habitat preservation. Today's lesson will give you a snapshot of some of the coastal habitats located in Fiji. This information will give you a head start on your investigation into one specific coastal habitat. It will give you a foundation to develop your understanding of how your chosen habitat works with its interconnecting layers, which you will represent in a cross sectional model in integrated sciences. And going a little deeper, you'll discuss the human impact, both positives and negatives, on your coastal system and represent this through an infomercial you will create in individuals and societies. And finally, you'll advocate a message for protecting your habitat through print advertisements and infographics in language and literature. You're expected to write your own notes in your exercise book as you watch the video. This is an opportunity for you to make your own judgments as to what's important to know and understand. You do not need to do this by copying everything down. Read the text, observe the images, listen to what is being said, pause the video, and write down what you remember or your own interpretation of what you have viewed. You can always come back to the video later if you are unclear about something. Make your learning environment work for you. So, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify by explaining what an ecosystem is and give examples of different marine ecosystems found in Fiji. Discuss to share your thoughts and feelings about ecosystems, including what you think is important for keeping ecosystems healthy and why. Okay, so this is my first video, so ignore all the mistakes. Let's dive in. So let's look first at what a coastal ecosystem is. And as you can read from the text here, an ecosystem is a vibrant environment found where the land meets the sea in warm regions. Okay. What? Wait. Okay, I've lost my mouse. Wait. It is teeming with life and it is interconnected to other or a variety of ecosystems within the coastal region. In Fiji, we find a variety of coastal habitats, each with its unique characteristics. It's important to note that when we're looking at, for example, the open ocean, which of course surrounds Fiji, that there are different life zones based on the depth and how much sunlight penetrates the water. As you can see in this image, you have the sunlight depth, okay, the sunlight zone, the twilight zone, and the midnight zone. Just for added value in terms of what you're in adding to your understanding of ecosystems and the different zones and how they impact on those ecosystems. For example, in the lighted zone, which is the sunlight zone, this is full of plankton that make up the foundation of the food chain for the different ecosystems. Below 200 meters in the dark zone, animals living in the dark zone feed on material that floats down from the lighted zone. So here's an example of what the different zones look like and the different organisms that live within each of those zones. See if you can identify each of the zones by looking at this image here. You can pause the video and write down your thoughts. Oops, my mouse again. For different parts of this video, we will have what's called a learning check, where we'll have questions here that you can note down your answers to in your notebooks. So for example, for the section that you just viewed, these two questions are your learning checks. What does salinity mean? And what are two ocean zones? What is the difference between these two zones? So what you can do now is pause the video and write your answers to these questions in your notebook. What will happen is we will come back to looking at these questions as part of your mastery check further down in your learning journey of this particular lesson. Pardon me. Now let's dive into the mesmerizing world of coral reefs. Under these underwater marvels are not only breathtakingly beautiful, but are also crucial for Fiji's marine diversity. There are different types of coral reefs. We have fringing reefs that are formed along a coastline, barrier reefs, which grow parallel to shorelines, and coral atolls, which are basically built upon dormant volcanoes. In Fiji, they have all three different reefs growing in different areas around Fiji. As you know, there's over 300 islands in Fiji, and most of those islands will have a surrounding reef of some sort. These underwater these underwater marvels are very important to Pacific Island nations such as Fiji, and it's important that we look at how we can protect them because quite often they are under threat by varying human activities. Here you have your learning check. How are coral reefs formed? What types of things cause damage to coral reefs? And list three types of coral reefs. Pause the video and complete your learning check in your notebook. Okay, moving into or onto the dynamic intertidal zones. You would have experienced looking at the intertidal zones at our Year 6 camp as one of the rotations that we did. Let's delve into it a little bit more deeply. These areas where the ocean meets the land are vital for coastal ecosystems, providing habitats for unique species and that which adapt to fluctuating tides. The tides are gravitation due the tides happen as a result of the gravitational pull of the moon, which causes the tides to rise and fall. Here you can see a cross-sectional diagram of an intertidal zone. You can see where the water goes, the water level is for low tide, and of course where it is for high tide. Another image that shows you the layers of this ecosystem. Right, there's lots of different organisms that live within the intertidal zone, and you would have seen some of these on your explorations out to the beach area during our camp. Of course, some of you were eager to come and share how you came across things like starfish. That was very interesting to that you took photos of, which was great. And this is also this knowledge that you've learnt from this is going to be helpful if you decide to take on intertidal zones as your coastal habitat to investigate. Here, it's really important to understand that, sorry, I went ahead too far, that human activities like coastal development and pollution endanger the delicate balance of intertidal ecosystems. And this is important to note because intertidal ecosystems form a crucial connection between ecosystems like seagrass meadows and coral reefs to mangrove forests and estuaries. So it's important that we understand how we can encourage people to follow best practice in terms of sustainable practices within these zones. Okay, here we have our intertidal zone learning check for you to complete in your exercise book. What causes the tides to go up and down at the seashores? What is the intertidal zone itself? What type of organisms live in the intertidal zone? And finally, what special adaptations do these organisms need to have? You can pause the video to complete your learning check in your exercise book. Next, let's explore the rich estuaries. Estuaries are, sorry, are biodiversity hotspots where fresh water from rivers mixes with salt water from the ocean, creating fertile habitats for countless of species. Here you can see a very simple diagram as to where how the river forms the estuary before it moves out, the water moves out into the ocean. They're very fertile and productive environments because freshwater streams bring in tons of nutrients washed down from inland soils, and these nutrient levels are higher than freshwater ecosystems. However, there's also a downside in that sometimes human activities, from upstream can also create threats to these delicate areas, such as pollution, um, special, specifically uh, when you have our villages in the interior that use the rivers for washing and things like that. If they're not using biodegradable substances, then the chemicals from what they do use also travels through the water down into these delicate areas. So it's important that we advocate a message to all, particularly in Fiji, villages about how to maintain and sustain clean water or the use of biodegradable products if there is no other if they have no other option but to wash in the river systems. Here we have our learning check for estuaries. You can pause the video to complete these questions in your notebook. What are estuaries? List other names for estuaries. Why are they so rich and fertile? And list the type of organisms that are found in estuaries. Now let's venture into the mystical mangrove forests. Mangrove forests are coastal ecosystems characterized by dense, salt tolerant trees and shrubs. They are nature's superheroes, protecting coastlines, providing nursery grounds for marine life, and storing carbon. They are typically found in tropical and subtropical regions, such as here in Fiji. They are found in areas where fresh water from rivers mix with salt water from the ocean. They support a diverse range of organisms and adapted to the unique conditions. But they are under siege from deforestation, pollution, and urban development, threatening the very survival of these vital ecosystems. Human activities are endangering these species. Here we have your learning check for mangrove forests, which you again can pause the video to write down in your notebook. What are mangrove forests? Why are mangrove forests important ecosystems? And name two threats to mangrove forests. Lastly, we are going to delve into the serene seagrass meadows. These underwater fields are not only havens for marine life but also essential for coastal protection and carbon storage. They are found in shallow coastal waters around the world, from tropical to temperate regions. They thrive in areas with clear water and moderate wave action. Seagrass meadows support a diverse array of marine life, including fish, crabs, shrimp, mollusks, sea turtles, sea, sea turtles, and various species of algae and invertebrates. Sadly, seagrass meadows are imperiled by coastal development, pollution, and destructive fishing practices. You can see from this diagram that there are a range of different human activities that impact on the survival of seagrass meadows. In your notebooks, complete this learning check, these questions. What type of environment do seagrass meadows resemble? How do seagrass meadows benefit coastal ecosystems? Where can seagrass meadows be found geographically? Name 2 threats to seagrass meadows mentioned in the explanation. So, what does all this mean? Each of these coastal habitats are interconnected to each other. They work together like a big team to support marine life. For example, mangroves and seagrass meadows provide shelter and food for many animals, particularly animals living in the coral reefs. Estuaries act as nurseries for young marine creatures before they move to other habitats like coral reefs. And intertidal zones link land and sea, providing a home for creatures that live both in and out of the water. These habitats rely on each other. By promoting sustainable practices, supporting conservation initiatives, and raising awareness, we can safeguard the future of Fiji's coastal habitats for generations to come. Remember, the power to protect our planet lies in our hands. Together, let's be stewards of our coastal treasures and champions of conservation. We can safeguard the future of Fiji's coastal habitats. Let's unite. Remember, you can always come back to this video to review the information at any time, and you can always look at updating your own notes if you've missed anything by reviewing it. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you in the next video.